Welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast, where you learn how to extract your business and personal deep wealth. I'm your host, Jeffrey Feldberg. This podcast is brought to you by Deep Wealth and the 90-Day Deep Wealth Experience. When it comes to your business deep wealth, your exit or liquidity event is the most important financial decision of your life. But unfortunately, up to 90% of liquidity events fail. Think about all that time and your hard-earned money wasted. Of the quote-unquote successful liquidity events, most business owners leave 50% to over 100% of the deal value in the buyer's pocket and don't even know it. I should know. I said no to a seven-figure offer and yes to mastering the art and the science of a liquidity event. 2 years later, I said yes to a different buyer with a 9-figure deal. Are you thinking about an exit or liquidity event? Don't become a statistic and make the fatal mistake of believing the skills that built your business are the same ones to sell it. After all, how can you master something you've never done before? Let the 90-Day Deep Wealth Experience and the 9-step roadmap of preparation help you capture the best deal instead of any deal. At the end of this episode, take a moment and hear from business owners like you who went through the Deep Wealth Experience. Simon Chan is a consistency coach and founder of MLM Nation, a business training company. After starting his entrepreneurial career in 2003, he built a $1 million business with over 300,000 distributors. Now an international speaker and trainer, Simon helps business owners stay consistent, defeat overwhelm, and build a successful business online. He is the host of the MLM Nation podcast, the #1 direct selling podcast. Welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast, and hang on to your hats too. I have a guest for you today. Thought leader, author, all-round terrific guy who's going to give you the secret sauce to success. Not just success in business, but success in life. And if you want to optimize your life for happiness, stay tuned. Don't leave. You're going to walk out a whole lot happier with some terrific strategies. So I'm going to stop it right there. Simon, welcome to the Deep Wealth Podcast. An absolute pleasure to have you with us. Simon, there is always a story behind the story. What's your story, Simon? What got you to where you are today?
Hey, thank you, Jeff, for having me here. I never would have guessed I would be a business owner or in business. I'm a shy, quiet Asian kid. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I speak fast. I've actually slowed down a little bit. I'll do my best to slow down. But English was my third language. And my dad was basically rags to riches, grew up really poor in Hong Kong, studied hard, worked hard, and then became a doctor. Mm-hmm. And I was always the richest kid in a public school. My dad had 3 Mercedes growing up, but money that didn't mean that much to me. It was all more playing sports. I always wanted to play baseball. I was always into basketball. And my dad was always busy. Mm-hmm. And he was busy at his practice, doing things. And the book that changed my life was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the poor dad is the one who just goes to school, right? The old paradigm. That was basically my dad. That was the key to my dad's success. So I was always pushed to study hard, very stereotypical Asian, be a doctor or a lawyer or engineer. Mm-hmm. And I was going to take over my dad's practice. Okay. And then I realized that I was very bad. Even though I was Asian, I was very bad in science and math. And it didn't work out. So anyway, I just got a job. I ended up working in sports. Now I just visioned myself, I'm going to work hard and climb the corporate ladder. Mm-hmm. And then when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that totally changed my mind. I never knew what businesses were. And in fact, I think his dad I don't know what he saw. His dad had a little hardware store in Hong Kong, and maybe he saw some unethical things. But he always thought business people were bad, right? To be the doctor, that's like a reputable profession. Sure. So I was always, I'm going to get a job. I ended up working in sports and worked there. And then when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I was like, wow, I've been living my life the wrong way. Mm-hmm. You're telling me, like, instead of working for 30, 40 years, have a good retirement, I can retire in a couple of years and actually work because I want to work, not because I have to work, and make an impact on other people. And the more I learn about it, you want to be successment in business. It's not being unethical. You got to be helping people. Sure. Right? That's how you get the long-term income. Mm-hmm. So that was a huge paradigm shift. And I didn't know business skills. And I did a lot of soul searching. I did a lot of prayer. God, Jesus Christ is a big part of my life. I did a lot of prayer. And then at that same time, this was back in 2003, I read Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. It's a spiritual Christian book. And I felt like God's purpose for me was to have a positive impact as many lives as possible. And before then, I thought about doing franchising, because no business experience is a good way to get your feet wet. And I had no sales and marketing experience. I didn't know anything about investing, nothing. Business education, zero. And then I discovered direct selling. And the reality is I didn't have the money to have my own franchise, put a down payment, start off. So I looked at what's direct selling. People don't like the term network marketing, pyramid schemes. I hadn't even heard of what direct selling was. But I got curious. I researched the industry for quite some time, for a couple of months, and decided, hey, I'm going to give it a shot. For someone with no business skills, that don't know how to sell, I'm going to go and do this. It was like basically $1,200. I got started, put on a credit card, and I got started in 2003. Another perspective was I read another book by Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki was like, network marketing doesn't matter what you want to do long term. It's a great way to learn how to sell. And it doesn't matter what type of business you need to do. You need to develop certain habits and how to sell and market yourself. So that's how I got started in 2003. I failed for months, no success, because basically I didn't know how to be a self-starter. I was always was a good student, good employee. If you told me what to do, I'll do it. But I had no initiative to do things on myself, and definitely no initiative to step out of the comfort zone, to do something you don't like to do. Speak on the phone, do a sales call, cold calling, or posting stuff on social media. So I struggled, and then finally I had a mentor that pushed me, and he basically adopted me and taught me what it took to be successful, taught me the mindset, thinking. All your listeners out here have heard of the book Think and Grow Rich. When I first heard it, I was like, that's the dumbest title. Give me the skills and be rich. Now, what do you think has to do with rich? Yeah. And now, like 20 years later, it has everything to do, because I was thinking the wrong way. And once I changed my mindset and started becoming consistent, I started getting results. It was just part-time income, took about $100 a month, and then eventually led to full-time income. And then I expanded out to Malaysia. I did a lot of travel there, built a huge team in the Philippines, and I basically built a huge sales organization of over 300,000 people. And then from there, about 10 years ago, I had a different purpose. I realized my gift that God's given me was really training and speaking. So I started a second business, which is a training business for people in direct selling, which is ML Nation. So that's what I do now. I'm a full-time coach in the direct selling profession.
What a journey. And for our listeners, we're going to have this in the show notes, because everything we're talking about today, Simon was gracious enough to put this in a book. And again, it'll be in the show notes. It'll be a point and click. The book is The Consistency Pill, the 7-step system to increase sales and transform your business. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? And Simon, 2 quick things before we jump in. Before I even got to page 1 of the book, you had me. And you had me because I was reading all of these reviews, which were really testimonials for you. And I was like, wow, never seen so many for a book like this before. And if all these people are saying these wonderful things about Simon, there's got to be something there. I want to learn more, and it didn't disappoint. So congratulations with that. And just off to the side, I also come from immigrant parents and that immigrant mentality. Jeffrey, you've got to be a professional. You've got to do this. You got to do that. And like yourself, went in a different direction. What gave you the courage back in the day to say, hey, you know what, Mom, Dad, not going to do that. I'm going to go in a different direction, completely against perhaps what you had wanted, but I'm doing that anyways. And I'm just asking for listeners, our young listeners, up-and-coming entrepreneurs, business owners who perhaps have some of those pressures. You've been down this path, Simon. What would you share with them?
I think I learned early on at my first job, if you do what everyone else did, I'll give it a shout out on the show, Tom Schoenwald. But I was really young, 21, 22. And he said, basically, if you do what everyone else does, you're going to get what everyone else does. If you look at most people, do they have the lifestyle you want? And I was like, no, really. And this was actually one of more micro inside a company. The group, kind of like the people that are employees that came in right a year before me, they got promoted. And look at them. Do you think they're happy? Do you want to end up where they are at? Well, like, no, I wanted to go in this department, not in that department. Good, then you got to do something different. So I learned early on, if you want I teach my boys this, is like, do the things that other people won't do so that you can have what others won't have. So if you look at what everyone else is doing, and a simple rule, I forgot who taught me this, but maybe it was Seth Godin in his book, The Purple Cow, which I read in 2004, one of the life-changing books. You got to be different. If you want a key to success, is just look what everyone else is doing and just do the opposite. Because everyone else is doing, I'm talking about 95% of the population is not, they're financially broke or they're stressed with this and that, they're out of shape. If you do what they're doing, you're going to end up like that. Just do the opposite. If you do the exact opposite, if they are negative and you do the exact opposite, you be positive. So I think that guided me early on. Don't fit in. I mean, I think if you listen to you're an entrepreneur already, don't fit it. And even on marketing, I think you did a recent reminder about this. If you look what everyone else is doing, and you go in there and do that because it's hot, it's not going to be hot any time longer. That's marketing strategy is not going to work. Sure. You got to be always one step ahead of the curve or do the opposite. But I think that's one thing that helped when my coaching business launched was in our niche, direct selling, no one was doing interviews. No one was doing podcasting. Now, there were podcasts in business, in other genres, other industries, but not in our industry. And I was actually the first one who did one-on-one interviews. So that immediately got a huge boost. Now, if you were in direct selling now and start doing interviews, there's so many people doing it, right? So it's always finding out what are people not doing and do the opposite. Do the opposite or do something new.
So some terrific advice when you're thinking just going out on your own or what to do. Really follow your passion, do something different. Don't do what everyone else is doing. And speaking about not doing what everyone else is doing, let's jump into the book. There's so many strategies. We're not going to be able to cover them all in our time together. And again, for our listeners, pick up the book, go through it. It's all in there. But Simon, what I loved right off the bat, it's somewhat controversial with what you started with, and I absolutely loved it. What you're talking about here, chapter number 1, you say your why is not enough. It's great that you have it, but it's not enough. And then you launch right into your 3 C's. And so for the benefit of our listeners, what's going on with that? What should our listeners know? Why is it not enough to have the why? And how do the 3 C's come in and what are they?
Well, the why is everyone has a why, right? Obviously, the why is not enough because otherwise everyone would achieve the goals. Everyone achieves it, but we're human beings and we're fickle, we're emotional, we get distracted. We are in the distraction economy. Every time there's a notification on the phone, we get that little dopamine hit. We want that. Physiologically, our minds want that dopamine hit. We get distracted. So you're going to be distracted from your why all the time. But the people who hit their goals, they realize they need to stay consistent. They have certain things, like little hacks that they do to help them stay on track to get their goal, to achieve their why. So when you talk about the 3 C's, and this applies to anything. When you're in a business, you want to sell, or you want to lead your team to a new direction, or your sales team to go hit a new market. People buy the 3 C's. Number 1, the C is your change. How have you changed? Whatever you're selling, whatever you're promoting, how has that impacted you? How have you impacted? And change could be obviously if you're using a product. You're promoting a weight loss product. You lost all the weight. Okay, right. But change could also be your change in habits, your change in attitude, and every leader, you want to create a following, that's what people buy into. If you're not changing, people are not following you. I used to, for example, be very negative, cynical. That's the way my late grandparents, I love them. I spent a lot of time with them and I miss them. But my grandmother was like that. So obviously we're a product of our environment. I was more like that. But when I first started, it's like my mentor told me, you can't be like that. Like, for example, when I make a sales call presentation, I'm automatically assuming negative. People are not going to buy. People are going to think I talk fast. People are not going to. My mentor said, you lost already. So that changed. So the thinking. So I went from negative to positive. This was back in 2004, 18 years ago. I did an easy newsletter, and I used to always share positivity. So my friends were like, what the heck? How did you learn all this stuff? So then they stopped following me. They stopped becoming curious of what I do, right? So C is your change in habits. Instead of watching TV, I am listening to motivational audios, right? Instead of listening to music in the car, I always had to listen to Jim Rohn or some type of sales tape in there to pump me up and feel like, wow. And some friends may not get you, but the people who are successful, they start following you. People are more successful, they become impressed with people like that, right? Because again, you don't want to do what 95% of the people do, but the 5% who are successful, they follow you. I still remember I met this guy in 2004, Curtis. Very, very successful. He was worth he built over almost a 9-figure business in the media in the early 80s. I was telling him about my business. He didn't become a customer or anything, but he gave me great advice. It was like, whatever you do, be different. Be different, provide value. And he asked me what I listened to. I was telling him I listened to sales tapes. That's incredible. That's awesome. And he said to me one thing, hey, I'm not going to buy, I'm not into these products, but you know what? I support you. Don't ever sell out on your dream and don't ever just go back to a job. And for me, at that time, I was earning maybe $100, $200 a month. I had doubts about whether I should do this. And I was in direct selling. Some people have a bad connotation to direct selling, bad perception of it. But here's a guy who was worth building a 9-figure business. He said, Simon, don't quit. That is awesome. You're doing it. That gave me, and I started changing. So if you change, you're going to attract better and better people. And I firmly believe if I wasn't like that, I would not attract this guy Curtis in my life. Okay. The second C is your commitment. How committed are you? Whatever project, task you're doing, if you're not committed, People are not going to follow you. They're not going to buy in. People don't listen to what you say. They listen to what they see you. You say, I'm going to be in shape. I'm going to get in shape. You just talk.
Sure.
You're not in the gym. Doesn't matter. You're committed. You're even on a late night. You're working on the treadmill. They buy you. They believe you. You want to get people to follow you? Be committed. The last thing is consistency. If you're not showing up in whatever you're doing every single day, you're never going to be successful. And no one's ever going to follow you. It's like, the restaurant that's open a couple of days a week and random hours. People start worrying about whether that restaurant is even safe to eat. It's going to go out of business, where the food is fresh. You got to be open every single day. You got to be consistent. And when the more consistent you are, people start following. So when I first started, I had no following. I just started with easy. I send it to my email list. And this is way before we had these CRMs and stuff. I used to copy all my emails and put them in this BCC section. Remember back in the day, I'll send it out. And some of the friends are like, oh, you're weird. Why are you doing this? But I always, in that easy, was consistent where there was a little diary of what's going on. I was single at that time, which girls I had a girlfriend. I'll give them an update, some personal stuff. And then I'll teach a little bit for like 10, 15% of it, something I've learned. And then I'll say something cool about my business. I end it like that. And over time, some people fell off, but then some people start sharing that. And so that's what, if you want, every entrepreneur starts off with nothing. If you're waiting for results until you can start selling yourself, it's too late. Right? Every entrepreneur starts with zero. But instead, you sell your vision, you sell your change, your commitment, and your consistency.
And Simon, with consistency, and I'm jumping to chapter 5, you say something interesting. Chapter title, Consistency Beats Intensity. So for our listeners, what's going on that you can share with them of why consistency beats intensity and why that's important?
See, consistency is very good marketing. It gets people excited. I'm going to do this by a certain amount of time, or I'm going to do this. Here's the thing, I wrote about it in a book. My brother did this P90X a couple years ago. It was really popular, right? 90-day extreme workout. See, these intensity, a good example is intensity is someone, and a lot of times when people do these things, they really need to make a massive change. So they say, all right, I'm going to go in like the beginning of the new year, right? We're recording this in February. A lot of people have given up on the New Year's goals already. And you see this in gym memberships where the huge surge in gym memberships in January, by February, these people stop going. People get too intense. It's like, you never worked out before. Oh, I'm going to get a trainer. I'm going to go to gym I'm going to work for an hour and a half. You do that, and then you can barely move your arms for 2 weeks. Instead, go a little bit a day and start small. And I wrote about this in the book. For someone who wants to get in shape, and they drive 20 minutes to the gym and just work out for 5 minutes. It's like the wimpiest workout, 5-minute workout, and then drives back home for 20 minutes. But he does that every day. Is that helpful? For someone who's never exercised before and wants to change his life. And some people say, yeah, 5-minute workout, you're not going to get any benefit of that. But the reality is it totally changes. It's a life-changing. Because when you start going to the gym, even for 5 minutes a day, that person starts seeing themselves differently. The confidence. Maybe the first time he stepped in the gym, he's like, oh, I'm going to look stupid. I can't do anything. But now he shows up every day. You know what he's going to tell his friends? Spend 40 minutes commuting to work to go to the gym. The fact he's showing for 5 minutes, he gets more comfortable. The self-concept, the way he sees himself changes. And then the 5 minutes becomes 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes. And next you know, he's going to the gym for an hour. He'll be the most fit person in the room.
And Simon, I suppose that would tie into one of the principles in chapter 5. I really like it. At Deep Wealth, we said a little bit different. We say done is better than perfect, but you say don't let the details stop you. And so with consistency and not letting the details stop you, what's going on with that? What can you share for our listeners?
Again, listeners, you're a go-getter. You're the top 1%. And being a go-getter, top 1%, means we're perfectionists. But perfectionists prevent you from being consistent. They done a study, and I put this in the book, and I put it in the book. It was a University of Florida professor. They had two groups of photography students. He was teaching a photography class. He split it into two. And one group, he says, go and study, take pictures, and submit your best photo, and that will be your grade. And the other one group was like, hey, go submit as many photos as possible. If you submit over 90, that's an A. If you submit over 100, it's an A+. If you submit over 80, it's a B. 70 is a C. Under 70, you fail the class. The group that did better at the end of the semester, the ones that were studying to be the best, or the ones that were actually taking the pictures, the ones who took the most pictures became way better photographers. You're not letting details, because what happens is a lot of times you don't know the details until you start doing it. If I have you for dinner, Jeff, and I don't cook, I can barely cook. What would be better for me to study, watch YouTube videos, get a cookbook, recipe, but study, and then make one dinner for you when you come? Or for me, just say we're having dinner 2 weeks from now, or for me starting tonight, just get in the kitchen, start cooking random stuff. And when you come over in 2 weeks, what will be a better dinner? obviously me cooking every day, right? Because I
Absolutely.
learned a little bit. Now, I'm going to take a little step further.
Yep.
Is what would be better if I start cooking all Monday? I'm going to cook every day to get ready for Jeff to come over. I'm going to do Chinese tonight, beef with broccoli. Tomorrow, I'm going to experiment with pizza. Wednesday, I'm going to do I'm in LA, so Mexican food. And then Thursday, I try some sushi. Friday, I try some Italian. Saturday, I do some French. Or I just cook beef with broccoli for 14 straight days. But in 2 weeks, which one will be the better meal? Obviously, do the same thing. I don't know all the details. You learn the details when you actually do it. Right. And I should give you a real life example. Sure. I do a live video. I go to my consistency pep talk every day at 8:25 a.m. Eastern. It's on live on my Facebook, live on Instagram.
Simon, hold on just a second here. 8:25 Eastern, that's 5:25 West Coast your time. So you're up early. Talk about being consistent. You're putting yourself out there. What's going on with that? That's a huge commitment for you. You're up early. You're in front of people. You're streaming live. So before you go into that, what's going on with that? That's tremendous.
Well, a lot of times people ask, what's the best time to post on social media?
Yep.
And you read that people say, oh, the mornings at 8 a.m. is good because people are at breakfast, are scrolling. The reality is the best time is the time you can go consistently. The consistency on posting on social media is more important than the perfect time. If you say, well, the 8 a.m. is the perfect time, you may not make it anyway. If you can't make it, like 8 a.m. is a great time, but it's terrible for me because I have to take the kids to school. Also, there's this thing, a guy by Robert Payne, he did a study of rich people. He said, poor people think local, middle class think national, successful people think global. So 8 a.m. may be good for you, but it's terrible for the person like for me, right? But it's great for the person in Australia. So anyway, I chose that time. The reality is the best one that I can go consistently, because consistency doing a live video is very important for my business. It's the only time in the day where I can go consistently live without any interruptions, and I have still good energy. I go to bed early, I get up early. That's why I choose the 8:25 a.m. Eastern. It also works out decently. It's not perfect, but decently well for the time zones. California time zone is terrible, but it's great for Central. Too late for Eastern, but great for Australia. Good for my followings into Asia. So that's why I chose it. But to do that, again, one of the keys to consistency is creating a routine. You got to create and schedule the time. If I say one day I'm doing 5, well, I'll do it when I wake up. You know what's going to, I'm human. People say I'm the most consistent person, but I'm human. You know what's going to happen? I'll say, I'll sleep in a little bit later. I'll do 5 minutes later. And I'll do 5. And next thing you know, the thing is not going to happen. So create and schedule the time. No one knows the details. You learn it by the doing. You learn by doing.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, Simon, let me ask you this, because I want to jump ahead into the book, really to the crux of the book, what you're calling the 7 components of the consistency system. And Simon, truth be told, each one of those 7 areas, that could be an episode on its own. So clearly, with the time we have, we can't cover them all. But I'm wondering, on the podcast, for every episode, we like the listeners to have one actionable takeaway. So speaking about consistent, our consistency is at the end of each episode, our listeners pick one thing before they get to that Zoom call, that email, that phone call, that meeting. They do that one thing. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. It's a little bit tough. It's like asking which one is your favorite child if you have a number of children. But of the 7 parts of the consistency system, you can pick any one of them to share with our listeners. What are you picking? Why, and what's it about?
Well, there's 7 components. We have the checklist, which is number 1. Number 2 is create and schedule the time.
Yes.
Number 3 is determine the strategy. Number 4, choose your environment. Number 5 is track your progress. Number 6 is your toolbox. And number 7 is accountability. And easily the most important one of all those 7 is the last one, accountability.
Okay.
Because we're all human. We don't have accountability, we're going to fall off. Right. That's why I have accountability partners. I actually have a call my accountability partner tomorrow, and he pushes me to make sure I do what I say I'm going to do. That's the same reason why Olympic athletes have trainers that push them, that hold them accountable. They have a nutritionist that holds them accountable. Because without accountability, we are going to cheat and lie to ourselves. We'll come up with all type of excuses that make us fall off track.
Wow, there's a lot there to unpack. But let me ask you this. While we're talking about accountability, and you're talking about accountability for ourselves, and I know you cover this in the book, for the benefit of our listeners, it's not just ourselves. We're business owners. We're growing the business like yourself. My goodness, you have 300,000 people in your particular system that were representing you. How do we take the accountability that we're doing in ourselves? You're saying this is one of the most important things with the consistency factor. How do we take that? How do we get the people around us, our team, our direct reports, to also have that accountability? Anything that you can share with us?
If you want someone to be your accountability partner, it's not easy because everyone is busy. You gotta I always share this simple framework. the first thing is be a person of value. So if I wanted Jeff, you to be my accountability partner, I'm thinking, what type of value? Now, if Jeff is going to hold me accountable, he's going to be doing the work. I'm going to suck up his time. What type of value can I give him? So the frequency, how often we talk, or it could be just like a text message every day. What did you do? Tell me what were your KPIs yesterday? What were your metrics yesterday? Simple message, but it takes time. So give value. Take something you learned and share it with that other person. People are always attracted to people of value. So maybe it's a book you read, or maybe something you learn on this podcast you want to share right away. Hey, this is what we should be doing. Share something of value. Number 2 is talk about what you have done, because what you share, what you have done, that often inspires what other people to do. That inspires them to achieve greater heights, or it makes them realize, oh, I got to do more. And the third thing is, if you need help or if you're stuck, you ask for help. So those 3 parts. But number 1 is be a person of value. So on the call with my accountability partner tomorrow, I got a couple of things that I learned that this last 2-3 days were going to help him build his brand a lot better in terms of creating fans of his following. That's what I plan to share. And that's what I lead with, providing value.
That makes a lot of sense. And let me ask you, so with the accountability, you're providing value both for yourself, also people around you. And one of the things that you mentioned in the book, chapter 16 actually, which ties into consistency, which ties into the accountability, you're saying get 1% better each day with this tip. And for our listeners, Simon, before you jump in there, 1% a day for our listeners, it may not seem like a whole lot. Found interest, the 8th wonder of the world, 1% a day. Day over day over day. I mean, that's huge. By the time you get to a week, a month, a quarter, a year, a decade, it's tremendous. So that 1% a day, when we're tying into consistency, to accountability, what's this one thing that we can do for the 1% better every day?
Well, yeah, the 1% is if I live in LA and I'm flying to New York where my parents live, if I was 1 degree off, I'll end up in Toronto instead of New York. A couple hundred miles away. Think about what you need to go back to the checklist. My question is, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? And go do that. And at the end of the day, you ask yourself, what are some of the wins I've had? What are wins? You always lead with wins. We tend to beat ourselves down, but give yourself some love and grace. What are some wins I've had? 3 wins. And this is a routine I do every night. What are 3 wins? And also, what are 3 things I could have done better? And then you start writing down. And then that gives you awareness. And awareness is the first step towards improvement and success. So it could be, I did my presentation a little bit too long. Or I said that I went too elaborate in the detail and my team lost focus. It wasn't interested in hearing that. You keep like a journal about it. And then say the next time you do it, you don't do it anymore. And now you got 1% better. And over the time of 6 months, you could be 1,000 times better.
Interesting. I love that. And so it's really, you're reflecting, you're not beating yourself up. Hey, this happened. I can do it better. You're not going to bring myself down for doing that. It's just the acknowledgement of, okay, where are the areas I can take it to the next level, where I can go. And let me ask you this, and we're going to start wrapping things up here, Simon. But in chapter 19, I was chuckling. I mean, right out of the gates, you say, hey, I'm tone deaf. But despite that, I sing happy birthday, not only every day, but sometimes 10 to 15 times a day. And so for the benefit of our listeners, what's going on with that? Share with them the power of singing happy birthday each and every day. What's the thinking with this?
It goes back to what we started the show. Like, if you want to stand out, if you do what everyone else does, you're going to end up like them. So you got to be different. Right? How do you stand out? And there's the same my mentor told me. If people say great things about you, that's awesome. People say bad things about you, that's awesome. The worst is when no one says anything about you. So then you're irrelevant and you're nobody. And no one's saying anything bad about the person who's like a bum, right? And the more successful you are, you get more critics. I'm always looking just how to stand out better, right? Because you're selling yourself, you're selling your vision. So instead of wishing happy birthday, and then Facebook came out, people just happy birthday on your wall. First of all, if you have a lot of friends, it's actually more inconvenient. Like I see all these messages on there I got to go through. So how do I stand out from the crowd? Because when everyone's wishing you a happy birthday, it's almost like it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's almost like if you don't wish me a happy birthday, then shame on you. So how do I stand out? You know what? Instead of just typing it, I'm going to sing to them. Because no one is singing to people on a happy birthday. I started to do that and I cannot sing. But it's more about the gesture. And the first year I did that, I do that every day when I walk my dog. I walk my dog and sing happy birthday. My neighbors think I'm crazy. If you're buying their opinions, you're buying their lifestyle, right? You got to focus on what you want to do. The first year or so, people thought I was crazy. After 3-4 years, it's done amazing. You're like, that's a tip. Talk about actionable tip. If you just sing a 20-second happy birthday song to every one of your friends every day, your network, your life would change in 3 years. I just got promoted. This leader just promoted my book to a huge audience, to hundreds of people in Europe, because even though she didn't message me back necessarily on Facebook, I've been saying happy birthday to her for like 7-8 years. And it's on her Facebook Messenger. She scrolls back. She sees all these birthday messages, right? It does two things. Number one, it shows that you care. And number two, it shows that you're consistent. And if people ever want to, and then Charlie Munger said this from his book that he wrote, Seeking Wisdom. I think that's the name of the book. It's the kind of biography where he talks about, like, he gave a commencement speech to Harvard, and it was a really cool speech because most people tell you what to do, right? You should do this. And he said, well, I'm going to give you a speech on what not to do. Like, the number one rule, if you want to live a miserable life where you hate yourself and no one's going to like you, live a miserable life of unhappiness, is to be unreliable. If you're unreliable, you're going to have no friends, no job, no business, nothing. You'd be the most miserable person in the world. Wishing to have your consistency is the opposite, is reliable. Even when people don't message you back, they know on their birthday, Simon Chance will get a message. He's going to sing happy birthday to them. And that has led to so many opportunities. And even when it doesn't, it just, when people are happy, that's like the ultimate thing. You make people happy, I feel happy. It's like when you give a gift to someone, you see them smile, you get happier actually than they do, right? And that's my gift every day. I sing happy birthday to every one of my friends.
So nice. Keeps it real for you, reminds them of, who you are, why you're different, why they're friends with you. Absolutely love that. And Simon, as we begin to wrap up, what I really appreciated, and towards the end of the book, you come out there and you say, you know what? Here are some ways that you're probably not going to be consistent. Here are 5 traps that are going to hold you back. But that's okay. When you fall, when you fumble, when you're not consistent every day, that's okay. And then you give 8 different strategies of what you can start doing right now today to get back into consistency, to get back on track. Anything that you like to share from those 8 strategies of something that we can think about?
Yeah, I think number one is do something every day. Just say you want to talk about exercise. You want to exercise for an hour, and that day things are crazy. You just can't go to the gym. Go take a 5-minute walk around the block, because that will make you feel better about yourself. Or just do 10 jumping jacks, because at least you did something. Because when you don't do something, you feel bad. Or maybe you had a sales quota and you had to make 20 calls a day and you couldn't make the 20 calls because you're busy. Just make one extra call. And it's the self-talk, right? We are our biggest critic. Sure. When we don't do what we're supposed to do, you're like, oh, you can't, come on, you're no good, whatever. Your self-esteem, everything goes down. But when you do one more, or just stay consistent, just do one that day, you feel a lot better about yourself. And that self-esteem will carry on to the next day. And you start the next day a lot better.
Terrific advice. And Simon, speaking of consistency, as we begin to wrap up this episode, we're consistent here at Deep Wealth. We have the privilege and the honor of asking every guest the same question. So here's the question I'm going to ask you. I'd like you to think about the movie Back to the Future. And in the movie, you have that magical DeLorean car that will take you back to any point in time. So Simon, here's the fun part, is tomorrow morning, you wake up, you look outside, not only is that DeLorean car there, but the door is open and it's waiting for you to hop on in so you can go back to any point in your life. Maybe it's Simon as a young child, a teenager, whatever point in time it would be. Simon, what are you telling your younger self? Or, hey, here's some life wisdom or some life lessons, or Simon, do this, but don't do that. What would that sound like?
I'll go back to when I was in elementary school and tell myself, don't worry about what others say about you. This is an advice I got. It's like when you're 20, you're worried about what others people think. When you're 40, you don't care what other people think. And then when you're 80, you finally realized that no one was ever thinking about you.
Some great advice, some terrific wisdom out there. And Simon, we're going to have this in the show notes for our listeners. It'll be a point and click. If our listeners would like to ask a question, learn more about you, where's the best place online that they can find you?
They can find me on Facebook. It's Simon W. Chan, or Instagram, Simon W. Chan. I actually go through every one of my messages. So if you reach out to me, it may take a while, but I will reply back to you, and I look forward to connecting with you all.
Wonderful. For listeners, again, all in the show notes. It'll be point and click. Doesn't get any easier. In the show notes also will be a link to Simon's book, The Consistency Pill, the 7-step system to increase sales and transform your business. And hey, you're getting this straight from the successful individual himself, over 300,000 people when he was out there and learning the system, putting it out in place. I don't think it gets any better than that. Simon, it's an official wrap. A heartfelt thank you for taking part of your day, spending it with us here on the Deep Wealth Podcast. And as we always like to say, please continue to stay healthy and safe.
Hey, thank you for having me here. Jeff, it's an honor. And everyone, go out there and have a positive impact on someone's life today. God bless you all.
The Deep Wealth experience was definitely a game changer for me.
This course is one of the best investments you will ever make because you will get an ROI of 100 times that. Anybody who doesn't go through it will lose millions.
If you don't have time for this program, you'll never have time for a successful liquidity.
I mean, it was the best value of any business course I've ever taken. The money was very well spent.
Compared to when we first began, today I feel better prepared, but in some respects, maybe less prepared, not because of the course, but because the course brought to light so many things that I thought we were on top of that we need to fix.
I 100% believe there's never a great time for a business owner to allocate extra hours into his or her week or day. So it's an investment that will yield results today. I thought I will reap the benefit of this program in 3 to 5 years down the road. But as soon as I stepped forward into the program, my mind changed immediately.
There was so much value in the experience that the time I invested paid back so much for the energy that was expended.
The Deep Wealth experience compared to other programs is the top. What we learned is very practical. Sometimes you learn stuff that is great to learn, but you never use it. The stuff we learned from Deep Wealth experience, I believe is going to benefit us both.
I've done an executive MBA. I've worked for billion-dollar companies before. I've worked for smaller companies before I started my business. I've been running my business successfully now for getting close to a decade. We're on a growth trajectory. Reflecting back on the Deep Wealth, I knew less than 10% what I know now. Maybe close to 1% even.
Hands down, the best program in which I've ever participated. And we've done a lot of different things over the years. We've been in other mastermind groups, gone to many seminars, workshops, conferences, retreats, read books. This was so different. I haven't had an experience that's anything close to this in all the years that we've been at this. It's 5-star, A+.
I would highly recommend it to any super busy business owner out there. And Deep Wealth is an accurate name for it. This program leads to deeper wealth and happier wealth, not just deeper wealth. I don't think there's a dollar value that could be associated with such an experience and knowledge that could be applied today and forever.
Are you leaving millions on the table? Please visit www.deepwealth.com/success to learn more. If you're not on my email list, you'll want to be. Sign up at www.deepwealth.com/podcast. And if you enjoyed this episode, if it added value, if you walked away with some new insights and strategies, please leave a review on your favorite podcast channel. Reviews help us reach new listeners, grow the show, and continue to create content that you'll enjoy. And as we wrap up this episode, as always, please stay healthy and safe.